I got fired for doing exactly what my boss told me to do. 3 weeks later, he was the one being escorted out of the building. Let me back up. I worked in operations for a mid-sized company where urgency is a personality trait and weekends are just weekdays with smaller meetings. My manager, we'll call him Scott, loved two things: dashboards and deniability. He'd bark orders, then pretend the numbers changed themselves. On a Tuesday, Scott slacked me, "We need the Q3 report cleaned up. Trim the backlog, make us look good. CFO review Wednesday." Trim the backlog is not a real instruction. It's a threat in a costume. But I did what he asked, by the book. I reconciled tickets, closed duplicates, annotated every change with the source data and timestamp. I didn't delete anything. I didn't fudge anything. I did the job, precisely. Wednesday morning, Scott strolls into the conference room like a game show host. CFO on one side, HR representative on the other. He pulls up the report I prepared and says, "As you can see, some people have been mass closing tickets to hide delays." He pauses, lets it hang. Then he turns to me. "Right, my name, you closed 200 items last night." My face got hot. I explained. They were duplicate or stale, all annotated. Scott smiles that soft, managerial smile. Intentions aside, this is a serious breach of process. 10 minutes later, the CFO leaves, and HR asks me to stay. The door shuts. The representative slides a paper across the table. "Terminated for falsifying reporting." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I asked one question: "Can I forward myself my annotations number?" That's company data. So I went home with a box, a headache, and zero access to the system where I documented the truth. The world would say, move on. But I don't do well with unfinished puzzles, especially ones where the liar wins. That night, I remembered something. Our ticketing tool emails an alert every time a record changes. I'd been CCing a shared ops mailbox for transparency. A mailbox Scott never looked at. IT didn't disable my personal email, and that shared mailbox? It's technically a distribution list. Anything that hits my inbox is mine to keep. I spent 4 hours searching those alerts. Every closure I performed had an email with the ticket ID, closure reason, and timestamp, plus my comments. A breadcrumb trail Scott didn't think existed. Breadcrumbs weren't enough. I needed a loaf. I opened my old onboarding docs. Buried in a PDF was a paragraph nobody reads: ethics and compliance hotline, anonymous submissions allowed. Evidence attachments encouraged. I started drafting. I didn't call Scott a liar. I didn't call HR complicit. I wrote a timeline. 9:12 a.m. Slack instruction from Scott to trim backlog. 6:03 p.m. to 11:47 p.m. 202 documented closures with reasons and source links. 8:31 a.m. next day. Scott presents my report as misconduct. Supporting exhibits. 40 email alerts, 12 screenshots, Slack message headers. I hit submit. Then I waited. Week 1. Silence. Week 2. A ping from an unknown number. "This is compliance. We received your report. Are you available to clarify 2 timestamps?" I was. They asked careful questions. I answered with boring precision. Week 3. A friend from operations texted me, "Are you online? They just put Scott on leave." I wasn't online. I was in the cereal aisle, staring at a sale tag, feeling the surreal whiplash of justice showing up during breakfast decisions. 2 days later, a letter arrived from Our. It didn't apologize. Our letters never do. It said, "Upon review, your termination will be reclassified as separation without cause. You will receive 8 weeks severance and a neutral reference. This decision does not constitute an admission of wrongdoing." I read it twice. Then I laughed. Neutral reference was their olive branch. 8 weeks of severance was their peace offering. And Scott? On Friday, I walked downtown to return my parking pass. Timing is a religion in corporate life. As I reached the lobby, the elevator opened. Scott stepped out with security. He didn't look surprised. He looked small. He glanced at me. I nodded once. He kept walking. Here's the thing about revenge: it's not loud. It doesn't need a speech. It needs a receipt. People asked if I felt guilty for reporting him. I didn't. I felt restored. You can't run a department on lies and then blame the honest person for telling the truth. You can dress up an instruction with buzzwords, but "make us look good" will always mean hide the mess. I didn't hide anything. I cleaned it, cataloged it, and when someone tried to burn me with it, I handed the fire marshal a map. If you're in a place like that, document everything. Not because you plan to use it, but because someday someone might try to erase it. And when they do, you won't need rage. You'll have timestamps. I didn't raise my voice, I raised the evidence. And that's how the one who fired me ended up fired himself. What would you have done in my place?